Here are the top stories for today, July 3, 2019. President Duterte calls on the police and military to refrain from overturning the government during his term. The government vows to investigate China's reported missile tests off the West Philippine Sea. The Supreme Court junks an investor's petition to stop the closure of the religious group Kapa. And volcanic quakes and rockfalls shake Mayon volcano even as it remains under alert level 2.
Good day, I am Miguel Hill and welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Amid the generous support shown by the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police to the administration, President Rodrigo Duterte appealed to members of the police and military not to overturn the government during his term. Here's our report.
President Rodrigo Duterte called on members of the Armed Forces of the Philippines to refrain from holding coup d'etats against his administration. In his speech during the 72nd anniversary of the Philippine Air Force at Villamor Air Base Tuesday night, Duterte noted how corruption continues to thrive in the government despite his efforts to stop it.
Tell you, even if you give me 5 terms gratis, and the system remains, and the practice of corruption which is already embedded in all of the government structures. Every table there, basta dadaan ng papel, meron talagang kalukuhan. Hindi naman lahat, pero karamihan.
Expressing how he will take responsibility rather than allow violence to happen, Duterte said soldiers and policemen who no longer find him deserving to lead the country could simply talk to him over a cup of coffee.
As I have told you before, pitsi lang yan sa baba. The corruption lies in the higher echelons of government. But I can say to you that the cabinet members, most of them of late, are almost all military men retired. Why? Kasi gusto kong tignan ninyo. Because I know that the armed forces and the police will have to decide one day, somehow. Do not do it, please, during my term.
This is not the first time Duterte mentioned coups in his speeches. In February this year, Duterte scolded military and police officers for joining coup attempts to return the power of the government to political rivals. Back in September 2018, the president also described coup attempts as a waste of time since he was willing to step down if they were discontented with his leadership. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines on Wednesday described President Rodrigo Duterte's call for the military and police not to stage a coup during his term as just a random remark. AFP spokesperson Edgar Arevalo said there is nothing new with the president's coup comment as Duterte mentioned it during the first joint AFP-PNP command conference upon assumption of office. Duterte made the comment in his speech at the 72nd founding anniversary of the Philippine Air Force, saying staging a coup is not necessary as he is willing to step down if asked to. The AFP assures the president that the military will always remain loyal to the flag, the Constitution, and the Filipino people. IP leaders on Tuesday vowed to remain steadfast in rallying the international community to resist the armed insurgency movement's narratives, despite getting death threats for breaking their silence on the atrocities of the communist terrorist groups in the Philippines. Indigenous people said they don't have any regrets because for them, land is life and it is all worth it if they need to risk another life. Amid the threats being faced by the tribal leaders, Major General Antonio Parlade Jr. of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-ELCAC, called on United Nations Special Rapporteur on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, Victoria Tauli Corpus, to look into the situation confronting IP communities in Mindanao. He says NTF-ELCAC will not allow another killing of any person critical of the CPP-NPA's duplicitous and deceptive ways. NTF-ELCAC seeks to unify the vulnerable and exploited sectors and take legal actions against the CPP-NPA supporters who will continue to destroy the Philippines. The Department of Budget and Management says the submission of the proposed 2020 national budget will be delayed until the first week of August. The DBM says they will wait for the appointment of the House Speaker before endorsing the 4.1 trillion peso national budget proposal for 2020. Officer in charge Janet Abuel on Tuesday assured the public that they remain on track and within the timeline, as the agency has until August 21, 2019, or 30 days after the President's State of the Nation address, to submit the 2020 budget proposal. Abuel says she is optimistic that the proposed budget will not face as much major hurdles as it did last year. Taiwan extends its visa-free privilege for Filipinos until 2020, and PTV4 is launching a new show called Digong 8888 Hotline. More on this and other news around the metro from Benj Bondok.
President Rodrigo Duterte on Tuesday night expressed hope that the modernization program of the Philippine Air Force would be completed before he steps down in 2022. Duterte was referring to the second horizon of the revised Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP modernization program, which involves 139 billion pesos worth of projects, including the procurement of utility vehicles, drones, and other command and control fixed-wing aircraft, among others. Duterte said he wanted to complete the modernization program because he was not sure that his successor would share the same priorities. Taiwan has extended its 14-day visa-free entry privilege for Filipinos until July 2020. According to Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in Manila on Tuesday, the privilege aims to further deepen Taiwan's relations with the Philippines. Taiwan is also urging the Philippine government to reciprocate the visa-free treatment so as to attract more Taiwanese tourists and businessmen in the country. In other news, government-owned PTV4 is set to launch Digong 8888 Hotline, a program where the public can report corruption and other irregularities against government agencies. The program will handle complaints about government transactions, fixers, and discourteous personnel, among others. It will be hosted by Presidential Spokesperson and Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo, Assistant Secretary Chris Roman of the Office of the Chief Presidential Legal Counsel, and Trixie Jafar of PTV News. Digong 8888 Hotline starts on July 11 from 2 to 3 p.m. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondok.
Still to come, the government vows to investigate China's reported missile test of the West Philippine Sea. After the stripping of the Cebu City Mayor's office, the official seal of the Mayor's office also goes missing. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues. The Philippine government will conduct its own inquiry on reports that China is allegedly conducting anti-ship ballistic missile launches off the West Philippine Sea. Department of National Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana said on Wednesday that so far, they have no first-hand knowledge about the missile launch. The defense chief added that they will first conduct their own inquiry before deciding on what to do if proven correct. As per reports, at least one missile was fired into the sea, with China warning ships not to approach the test area. Philippine Army Chief Lieutenant General Makairog Alberto met with Israeli Ambassador to the Philippines, Rafael Harpaz, to exchange views on counter-terrorism. Harpaz's courtesy call at Fort Bonifacio, Taguig City Tuesday is in line with counter-terrorism trainers training between the Philippine Army and the Israel Defense Forces being conducted at Fort Magsaysay, Nueva Ecija. The Israeli official recalled the time when former President Manuel Quezon opened the Philippines to 1,300 Jewish refugees from Europe in 1937 to 1941. He said this gesture is one of the reasons why Filipinos are welcome in Israel even without a travel visa. Alberto said the Philippine Army is looking forward to more training exchanges with Israel so as to raise the Army's determination to defeat the terrorism threat in light of the recent terror attack in Sulu. It seems the worst is not yet over in Cebu City as Mayor Edgardo Labella reported that the mayor's official seal is missing too. The seal was discovered missing on Tuesday morning during Councilor Jedi Gardo's oath-taking. Labella said the seal is very important because it is a symbol of the power and authority of the mayor's office. He pointed out that the seal is a government property donated to the city government. The mayor ordered for an extensive search for the seal. Earlier, Labella found out that the mayor's office was stripped of fixtures. The General Services Office certified that all of what was removed from the mayor's office are owned by Osmeña. However, the Department of Interior and Local Government said the former mayor could be administratively liable for stripping bare his former office. Two more villages and one town in Central Luzon declared CPP-NPA as persona non grata, and the labor group in Bacolod City calls for a 50 peso wage hike. More on these and other news from the provinces from Janice Cave.
In Central Luzon, two more barangays and one municipality declared CPP-NPA as persona non grata. These are the municipalities of Dingalan and Aurora and barangays Bagting and Calabasa in Gabaldon, Nueva Ecija. According to 91st Infantry Sinagtala Battalion Commander Jose Marito Renueva II, the residents have grown tired of the presence of terrorists, so also conducted extortion. He encouraged other LGUs to reject the CPP-NPA. He also assured them of the military's full support. In Bacolod City, the New and Independent Workers Organization filed on Monday a petition for a daily minimum wage increase for private sector employees in Western Visayas. The group sought a 50 peso increase for workers in the plantation and non-plantation sector and 60 pesos for commercial and industrial workers. The petition also includes a daily minimum wage increase of 80 pesos for workers in Boracay. Minimum wage earners in Western Visayas currently receive 295 to 365 pesos per day, including the cost of living allowance. In Dumaguete City, a labor strike is likely to happen at the Silliman University after the faculty and the school administration met a deadlock over the collective bargaining agreement. Both parties failed to reach an agreement, with the administration allegedly wanting to further review the proposals of the union. The association is looking at commencing the strike on Monday, July 9. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas on Monday said that the Philippines' upgrade to credit rating A is possible if economic managers do their part. BSP Deputy Governor Diwa Ginigundo said he is optimistic for an upgrade within the next 18 months. The Philippines has been enjoying investment grade rating from the major credit rating agencies S&P Global, Moody's Investor Service, and Fitch Ratings since 2013. Ginigundo said achieving an A-level credit rating needs collaboration among government agencies so that they can address the outstanding issues raised by credit rating agencies. He said a technical working group has already been created to work towards this end of helping the Philippines attain the highest credit rating. Up next, the Supreme Court junks an investor's petition to stop the closure of the religious group Kapa. Volcanic quakes and rockfalls shake Mayon volcano even as it remains under alert level 2. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders. The Supreme Court on Tuesday dismissed outright the petition filed by investors of Kapa Community International Ministry over the closure of the group's operations. Court spokesman Brian Keith Hosaka confirmed that the suit filed by Rema International Livelihood Foundation Incorporated, or KIR Fund, last June 21 was dismissed by the court en banc on Tuesday. The company asked the court to expunge KIR Fund from the list of the unregistered investment entities, saying it has documents that support its legality and allow Kapa to resume their religious activity. The petition sought 3 billion peso compensatory damages from President Duterte and SEC Chair Emilio Aquino for allegedly destroying KIR Fund. The group also seeks for the impeachment of President Duterte. Earlier, the SEC issued a cease and desist order after it received reports on the recruitment and solicitation activities of Kapa and ordered the revocation of its registration last April. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines on Tuesday warned the faithful against a group called Maria Divine Mercy. CBC President Archbishop Romulo Valles urged the people to be very cautious about the organization as it brings confusion and propagates incorrect teachings to the Catholic faithful. Maria Divine Mercy is said to be led by a Catholic Irish woman, Mary Carberry, who spreads messages supposedly from Jesus Christ and from the Blessed Virgin Mary. Among the messages included apocalyptic predictions about Pope Benedict XVI's resignation and allegations that the Pope Francis is a false prophet. Bataan Bishop Roberto Santos says the messages and activities of the group are being conducted in Cebu, Iloilo, Bukidnon, Zamboanga, and Batangas. In our foreign news, Hong Kong's Chief Executive Carrie Lam on Tuesday strongly condemned the violent acts of some protesters who stormed the Legislative Council building. Lam said she was saddened and shocked by the use of violence and vandalism and stressed that any illegal acts committed by protesters would be investigated. On Monday night, some radical protesters stormed into the legislative complex and destroyed equipment inside the chamber of the building. Protests started out last month over an extradition bill that would allow criminal suspects in Hong Kong to be extradited to mainland China for trial. Lam expressed hope for normalcy to return, adding that nothing is more important than the rule of law in Hong Kong. In sports, bantamweight protege Mike Magic Plania of General Santos City will be back in action as he fights in the United States on July 26. The 22-year-old Plania, with a record of 20 wins, 1 loss, and 11 knockouts, knocked out Nikong the Destroyer Calamba of Butuan City in their April 30 fight in General Santos City. He also beat American Juan Antonio the Wolf Lopez by unanimous decision on January 13 in Los Angeles. Plania says his goal is to add his name to the list of Filipino world champions. Sanman CEO Jim Claude Manangkil says a win for Plania would mean he's ripe enough for a world title shot. The government continues to provide livelihood assistance to residents of Marawi City as part of their rehabilitation. This month, farmer beneficiaries received seeds and other farm inputs along with cash assistance. Sweet Lukman has a story.
True to their commitment to help the Marawi residents rise again from an unprecedented economic dislocation wrought by the 5-month war between the Maote ISIS-linked terror group and government troops in 2017, the member agencies of the Subcommittee on Business and Livelihood of Task Force Bangon Marawi and partner organizations turned up for the 10th Kauyagan activity held at the City Hall grounds in Marawi City. Farmers, sari-sari store operators, garment makers, and food vendors got livelihood assistance from both government and non-government organizations. The Department of Agriculture distributed garden tools, potato cuttings, and vegetable seeds to the farmers, while the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao also distributed 20 packs of vegetable seeds. The World Food Program, on the other hand, has distributed its second tranche of 2,000 each to some 10,000 farmer beneficiaries under its cash-based transfer program, which was completed with the farm inputs from DA, DAF, and Department of Agrarian Reform, Lanao del Sur. Alanodin Taha and Normina Dardagan, both from Barangay Dayawan, thanked for the farm inputs they received from DA.
Kami po nagpapasalamat sa kanila dahil kahit paano nakakatulong po sila sa amin.
Meanwhile, Taha shared that the support gave them hope to start again.
Ngayon na medyo natulungan kami, na medyo nawawala yung problema namin. Medyo masaya na kami.
The Technical Education and Skills Development Authority also conducted enrollment for skills training on masonry, carpentry, electrical installation and maintenance, NC2, tile setting, shielded metal arc, and welding. The agency also offered free services on manicure, pedicure, and haircut. The Department of Trade and Industry has distributed school supplies to the previous recipients of sari-sari store kits. Various livelihood kits were also distributed by the Community and Family Services International, a non-government organization. Omayma Makapaar from Barangay Papandayan shared that she received assistance from CFSI and continued sewing long dresses and prayer veils. Month after, she was able to buy 2 additional sewing machines. Launched on August 24, 2018, the Kauyagan is a monthly distribution of livelihood assistance spearheaded by TFBM for the IDPs of Marawi City. For PNA Newsroom, Sweet Lukman, Philippine Information Agency.
Mount Mayon has again displayed signs of restlessness but remains under alert level 2. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology on Tuesday recorded 16 volcanic earthquakes, 6 rockfall events, above normal gas emission, and bulging at the volcano's edifice for the past 24 hours. Resident volcanologist Eduardo Laguerta said the volcanic quake is triggered by magma buildup and gas pressure, and that the volcano is preparing for an upcoming eruptive event. Phil Volks warned the public to keep out of the 6-kilometer permanent danger zone as well as the precautionary 7-kilometer extended danger zone. Pilots are also advised to avoid flying close to the volcano's summit. In our weather update, Pag-asa says the effect of southwest monsoon OPR Habagat has weakened. However, light to moderate rains and isolated thunderstorms will still prevail over Pangasinan, Zambales, Bataan, and Palawan. Meanwhile, let's check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories.
President Duterte calls on the police and military to refrain from overturning the government during his term. The government vows to investigate China's reported missile tests off the West Philippine Sea. The Supreme Court junks an investor's petition to stop the closure of the religious group Kapa. And volcanic quakes and rockfalls shake Mayon volcano even as it remains under alert level 2.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I am Miguel Hill. Good day.